Author's books slaughtered by Hollywood. And by Disney. The film begins with the Disney logo, but in a short amount of time, it spawns multiple Disney castles inside the Disney castle, which you could believe that it's referencing what happens throughout the film, but this just looks like Disney planned to release their empire. Tell no one. We then cut to Chris Pines' character talking to his movie character daughter about science stuff that can be solved by love. No, I'm not kidding. Chris says that the biggest thing we can learn in our history of science is solved by love. Are we sure this isn't a Secret Care Bears special with Oprah as a guest star? Chris and his wife then show an example to his daughter with origami saying, word for word, love is not gone, just enfolded. Who wrote this dialogue? Then after that, we transition to the daughter named Meg, who is a bit older and now a teenager. Great. Glad we could cover up her life that shortly. I'm sure it won't be a flaw at all during this film. She still has the origami from earlier in the film on her bed, and then she repeats the line Chris literally already said before we transition to teenage Meg. Love's not gone, just enfolded. Thanks, movie, for treating your audience like morons who can't understand what the message is, even though you already said that line before Meg repeated it again. Who wrote this? Anyways, we cut to Meg going downstairs while her brother named Charles is listening to a radio. Before we continue, I should mention that Charles is named Charles, but for some reason every character in this film calls him Charles Wallace instead of just Charles. Film, are you awake? The radio mentions that Chris was missing for 4 years, but instead of showing any emotion, Charles talks in an overconfident tone because the actor can't act in the slightest. Brilliant. After that, we cut to Meg going to high school. When she does this, a bunch of bullies pass her or stand by her locker while saying, "Hi, Meg." This is actual dialogue in the film. Somebody wrote that, somebody filmed that, somebody edited that, and then they kept it. Yes, these are supposed to be their insults. Please hit me. We then cut to Meg standing in a basketball court outside while the soundtrack of the movie took the Suicide Squad route and just decides to play a licensed song that has no reason or meaning to be there because nobody knew what they were doing in this film. We also cut to Charles, who I will now be calling Gromit, don't ask why, as he overhears two teachers talking about how Chris could be ditching his family and that it's been 4 years. You're just gonna mention that twice, movie? Okay. The radio already mentioned that and now you're just gonna mention it again. I guess it's for people who aren't paying attention, but really, who's blaming these people? Gromit then gets angry and yells at the teachers before running to a gate near the basketball court and shakes it while trying to talk about how beautiful his mother is. What am I watching? One of the bullies from earlier then insults Meg because of this, so Meg throws a ball at the bully's face. This immediately gets her in the principal's office, and the principal tells Meg that the bully's parents are worried for the bully's health. From a ball? A ball. I have been hit in the face by a full-on basketball, and yet the person who threw it simply got a warning and the pain went away fast. I wonder if the bully has any sort of depression that makes her sensitive. I wonder if the film will be covering that soon. We then cut to, real quick, what is going on with this rush beginning? I have mentioned more than 3 cuts or transitions in this film, and we are still under 30 minutes in this film. Good God, keep a steady pacing, you writers. You are writing a film, not a novel. Get your head straight. Thanks, movie, for having a pacing so messy that my neck is close to breaking from looking at this. Moving on, we cut to Meg having dinner with Gromit and their mother, who I will now be calling Hot Oprah. Don't judge me. Hot Oprah talks to Meg about what happened at school, but Meg is angry. So, Angry decides to emote by barely emoting. I guess I'll be calling her Angry now. Thanks, film, for giving her such wild choices for emotion. Angry complains about all of this before Gromit lets in this crazy lady. Played by Reese Witherspoon. They actually got so desperate they hired Geese Slitherspoon for this. Beautiful. Meese just wanders around weirdly, and Hot Oprah doesn't know what to do, and Angry then asks Hot Oprah if she should call the police. This would be reasonable, but this is Wrinkle in Time, so they quickly forget about that. This isn't going to be the only time, so please stick with me. I'm begging you. I don't want to be the only one covering this. I don't want to be the only one thinking about this, so please stick with me, because this is brilliant filmmaking right here. Anyways, Lise just says random magic stuff and already knows about who Gromit is, and Gromit knows who she is. This would be interesting to learn about, but the film never actually explains why Gromit knows Nice or any other magic lady that will later show up. And she just leaves. Grease just leaves and disappears in the stormy weather, and not Angry nor Oprah speaks about that ever again. Film, did you take your Advil last night? We cut to the next day as Angry is telling Gromit not to just invite strangers or randomly talk to them. Okay, now please remember this. Please. A random boy then walks up to her and talks to her, and she immediately has a conversation with her. Yes, they just met each other for the first time in this film or any other past that they had. This is literally the first time he has been mentioned at all. He showed up earlier in the basketball court scene, but that's it. He just looks at Meg as she throws the ball, and that's it. He literally does nothing, and Meg just immediately has a conversation with him, and he immediately has a conversation with her the second he walks up on her. Yes, this actually happens. Please follow me. So the random boy says his name is Calvin, but we'll just call him Discount Jonas Brother. Why not? Discount Jonas Brother talks to Angry until Gromit decides to run into this random house where he finds another magic lady. Good job keeping a close eye on your brother, Meg. Or Angry. I think we'll just stick with Angry. Why not? She played Celadon in Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, which I recommend, so you won't have to watch this terrible Disney film. Thank you, Magic Lady, for playing a character I actually like. Now I'll just be calling you Celadon. Celadon greets Gromit, Angry, and Discount Jonas Brother as she constantly says quotes from other people in history, and Gromit explains this by saying that Celadon can't speak human tongue, so she has to steal other words from other people. But how does she know the meaning then? Who wrote this? Then after talking for a bit, Celadon just sleeps. And okay, let me just explain this. They are talking for a bit. Celadon says some quotes. They talk for a bit more. Angry talks to Gromit about, hey, you can't just keep doing this. This is wrong. And then the second they turn around, Celadon is already passed out. She just sleeps. She's already snoring. And then they just put a blanket on her and they just leave. Yep, they just leave after Celadon falls asleep. Brilliant. It's not like you should question Gromit's existence after knowing two random magic ladies without even meeting them earlier in person. Who wrote this? Anyway, Angry then invites Discount Jonas Brother. Did you seriously forget what you just told Gromit? Even Hot Oprah allows this. Can we just remember what you wrote, guys? Could you just remember one thing? It's just a movie, guys. Just don't think about it. Turn your brain off. Look like another moron in the theater room while you give the director all the money you have because you're that gullible. So then Hot Oprah says that before Chris disappeared, he did a presentation about wrinkling apart in our universes, creating many other universes or dimensions. And Hot Oprah says that this can happen through love. Who wrote this? Also, I should mention that during this story, okay, let me explain this. The love part is ridiculous. We all know this. But can we please talk about the fact that the people in this presentation laugh at Chris, even though he just figured out about how there's a wrinkle in our universe that we could actually explore? There's so much more in that, and they just love to laugh at it. Okay, if this was in front of NASA, they would be freaking out. A wrinkle in our universe. They would look into that as fast as they can, and they just ignore this and laugh because the film wants them to, because the script wants them to. Good God, film. After that, Angry and Discount Jonas Brother go to the backyard and just talk about either nothing or just stuff we already know. Brilliant dialogue. While this is happening, Angry sees her bully from next door from the window. How convenient. And she also feels embarrassed that she's talking to Discount Jonas Brother. No, I'm not kidding. Angry is actually embarrassed. She's looking at Angry, and yet Angry is embarrassed to be talking to Discount Jonas Brother. The bully literally giggles at Angry at the sight of her with him, even though she's talking to a handsome young boy who was never established as an unpopular student. So this just makes no sense. There's a book to help guide you. How are you failing at this? But wait, Lee shows up. Yeah, she just shows up again. Remember her? From when Gromit let her inside? Yeah, she's back again. Because we all missed her. I hate myself. She shows up again and she floats over the backyard fence. Angry then asks, "Why are you here?" When she should be saying, "Holy hell, you can fly!" But I guess the film loves to forget how human beings actually act. Because films nowadays would rather just go, "Hey, you know this logic? Let's just throw it out in the garbage. You don't need to know this. It's just stupid science stuff." By the way, I'm mentioning all this stuff because later in the film, including a tornado, there will be a huge part in the plot where Angry will mention some science stuff. And they do this by breaking science itself. But I'll get to that soon. Jesus Christ, just hit me with a log and leave me in a ditch. I'm begging you. Please. But, I should probably mention something I forgot to mention. In the principal's office, the principal reminds Angry that, "Hey, your dad's been gone for 4 years. Again. For the 3rd time." Oh my God. You know what? I'm actually losing more and more brain cells while I talk about this. So anyways, that is all for part 1. I will be continuing this garbage soon. Hope you like it. This utter pile of horrid garbage will be continued later on. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good day, because I sure didn't when I was watching this film. But it's gonna get worse. Trust me.